Jim Gavin. Let's talk about Jim Gavin today. The fiasco that has come about with him dropping out of the race for the presidency is going to create significant difficulties, I believe, in the Fianna Fáil party. But leaving aside the criticism that's bound to arise around Micheál Martin and how this whole fiasco has come about, what will Jim Gavin's legacy be? Will he be remembered as the presidential candidate that crashed and burned over €3,300 of an overpayment in respect of an apartment from 16 years ago? An apartment that may not have been registered at the RTB, the Residential Tenancies Board? Or will he be remembered as the manager of probably the greatest Gaelic football team of all time and the manager of a Dublin team that won 5 in a row? What will his legacy be? Interestingly, Jack Chambers there at lunchtime said that they had no knowledge, no disclosure from Jim Gavin prior to his starting or becoming the Fianna Fáil candidate. They had no knowledge of this €3,300 from 16 years ago. But in all fairness, I don't think too many people, when going for a job or putting themselves forward for something or other, would actually be going back perhaps 16 years to a residential tenancy dispute, especially when you look at the context of getting into financial difficulty with your wife, your family, and then losing the property to a lender, losing the property because you're unable to pay your way, pay the mortgage, and you either surrender it or it's a receiver is appointed and the property is taken off you. Probably he surrendered it, I don't really know that. But what I am saying is that a dispute from 16 years ago involving €3,300, I'm not sure how many of us would be that fulsome or that clued in or that aware perhaps of such a dispute that long ago. Now, having said that, if you're going to run for public office, I suppose you're going to take certain steps to go through your records or whatever. But to go back 16 years and residential tenancy letting that ended essentially with some sort of a dispute and an overpayment by the tenant of $3,300. That's, well, look at, I don't know who would be able to record all of the little squabbles and rows and disputes that you might have down through the years. But that's Jim Gavin's problem now at this stage. But the question I'm asking here, and I'd be interested to see what the views were down below, are of viewers. What is Jim Gavin's legacy? Will he be remembered as the man who managed Dublin to win 5 All-Irelands in a row? Or will he be remembered as the man who crashed and burned in a presidential election campaign? I think it's an interesting question, and it's a sad question in a way. But we all have to own our mistakes, I suppose, and own our imperfections and our infirmities in our actions. And I don't know how pure all of us would be if we actually look back 5, 10, 15, 20 years to look at disputes where we were the one side or the other of it. But I'd be more interested to hear your views as to what is Jim Gavin's legacy. Will he be remembered as the man who managed Dublin to win 5 All-Irelands and gave public service as a peacekeeper with the United Nations, as the head of the Irish Aviation Authority, and various peacekeeping missions all around the world, I suppose, and the manager of the Dublin football team, and the winner of an All-Ireland as a player himself? Or will he be remembered as the man, as I say, who, like Icarus flying too close to the sun, crashed and burned in this presidential election campaign? It's kind of a frightening prospect that everything can be blown like that if this is his legacy, if this is how he's remembered. I think it's kind of frightening. But what's your view? Anyway, 6th of October 2025, down the canal here in Enfield. There's Mrs. Carey there peddling her tricycle, heading down the canal to go into Enfield. Anyway, I'd be interested to hear your views down below. What's Gavin's legacy? All-Ireland winning manager or presidential candidate fiasco? Let me know down below. Thanks a lot. Yeah, 6th of October 2025. I'm down the canal here in Enfield. It's an absolutely stunning day. We had a rough old weekend of it there with Storm Amy. And you can see down here some of the damage caused by Storm Amy. I can't go. Well, I can go on my usual walk. I'll plough on, plough ahead. But Brian Donoghue now, if he's looking in, I'll have to sort this out. Brian is the man in charge. Oh, it's passable. It's no problem. Stunning day though. Down the canal. In Enfield. Beautiful place for a walk. I come down here at lunchtime virtually every day, apart from when it's really lashing rain, but otherwise I come down. And it's a beautiful facility. It's the Royal Canal in Enfield, County Meath. And there are people getting great use out of it. Both sides of the canal, walking dogs, cycling. And it's a tremendous facility. At the moment they're actually putting in, and there's been a good bit of work going on for the last little while. They're putting in a facility to allow wheelchair accessible fishing. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but it's some sort of a ramp or slope or a smooth concrete area where a person in a wheelchair will be able to enjoy fishing. So that's good. That's good. Trump wouldn't like that now, because that's a sort of a sop to a person who is disabled. That's a sop to a person who's not white and male or virulent and not a narrator, what do you call them? A blue-blooded male and all that old bullshit. But in decent society, decent countries, people do make provision for those who are members of minority groups, who are perhaps disabled, or, as I say, members of groups that might be traditionally discriminated against and hated and punished and hassled for being a member of that group. And so whether it's being a member of the travelling community or because of a particular gender or a particular religion or no religion or a particular ethnic origin, all those things, all the disability, all those grounds of discrimination, thankfully, in Irish and European society, because European society has a rich history and sophistication, unlike the United States, where you have Trump now and Hegseth going after diversity and equality and inclusion policies, and they think it's okay not to make provision for people who are traditionally apt to get bullied and hassled and discriminated against. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I'd be interested to know though what your view is about Jim Gavin and his legacy. Leave a comment down below, whether you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or wherever. Thanks a lot, and thanks for watching. Wheelchair accessible fishing area now here. It's a work in progress at the moment, as you can see. But I presume the idea is that a person in a wheelchair will be able to go in there on the path and be able there, with that concrete bank as it were, will be able to set up there with their wheelchair and fish, which is a great opportunity. So if you know of anybody who has a wheelchair and is interested in fishing or might want to start or like fishing, and obviously bringing a wheelchair down a canal bank is not feasible, you can do it here, because this is all tarmac, as you can see, right over to that area. So it's a great initiative.